The night sky lit up like a second sun. A massive fireball tore through the atmosphere, streaking across the sky, leaving a glowing trail behind it. People across the world saw it. Some thought it was a meteor, others believed it was a spaceship. They were right about the second part. Deep in a remote desert, far from cities and prying eyes, the colossal object crashed with a thunderous impact. The ground shook, sand blasted into the air, and a crater formed around the wreckage. The ship, an alien vessel, groaned as its damaged systems flickered and sparked. For hours, nothing moved. Then, strange figures emerged from the wreck. Tall, armored aliens, gray-skinned with sharp, glowing eyes, stumbled onto the sand. Their movements were slow, tired. They spoke in a language no human could understand. Their ship had failed them, and now they were stranded on this primitive world. But they were not here to stay. Within minutes, a bright light appeared above them. Another alien craft, sleek and intact, hovered silently. A beam of energy shot down, surrounding the crew. One by one, they vanished, taken away to safety. The new ship didn't even look at the wreck. It didn't try to recover anything. Then it was gone. The massive broken starship was left behind, abandoned like trash. The discovery. It didn't take long for humans to arrive. Satellites had tracked the crash, and soon military helicopters circled above the site. Soldiers moved in, securing the area. Scientists followed, setting up research stations around the wreck. Governments declared the crash a top-secret event. No media, no civilians. For weeks, experts studied the ship. They found that its engines were dead, its weapons useless, and its power source had gone cold. The structure was alien but heavily damaged. The technology inside was strange, far beyond human understanding, yet somehow inefficient. "This thing's a mess," one scientist muttered, tapping the broken control panel. "The aliens didn't even try to take it back," another replied. "Must not be worth the effort." That was the official conclusion. The ship was beyond repair, a useless wreck. After some months of study, interest faded. The project lost funding. The government locked the site down and left only a skeleton crew to keep watch. The world moved on. A second chance. But not everyone forgot. Jack, an ex-military engineer, had worked on the site for months before the project was shut down. He had seen the reports, the analysis, the dismissive attitude of scientists who had given up too quickly. But Jack had a feeling, a gut instinct, that they were wrong. This ship wasn't worthless. It just needed the right people to fix it. Jack gathered a small team of experts. Lisa, a genius mechanic who could fix anything with a wrench and duct tape. Mark, a software expert who had cracked encrypted alien signals before, and a few others who shared his vision. Together, they made a plan. Officially, the ship was abandoned. The government had no more use for it. If they played it smart, they could take over the project without anyone stopping them. One quiet night, Jack and his team arrived at the old site. The guards barely paid attention anymore, assuming nothing important was left. Slipping past security was easier than expected. Once inside, the team set to work. Lisa ran her hands over the metal hull, feeling its strange, smooth surface. "This thing was built for something big," she said. "Not just a simple ship, maybe a war machine." Mark powered up his tablet, connecting cables to the alien systems. "Their software is messy," he muttered. "It's like they never optimized it." Jack smiled. "Then let's make it better." They didn't just want to fix the ship. They wanted to make it unstoppable. Jack stood in the middle of the alien ship's dark interior, a flashlight in one hand and a wrench in the other. Dust floated in the air, disturbed by their movements. The ship had been abandoned for months, but now it belonged to them. Lisa knelt beside an open panel, wires spilling out like tangled roots. "This wiring is a mess," she muttered. "Whoever built this didn't care about making repairs easy." Mark, sitting nearby with his laptop, was already working on the ship's control systems. He had connected his device to the alien network, but the strange symbols on the screen made no sense. "Their code is too complex," he admitted. "I can't read it properly. It's like they didn't design this for quick access." Jack crossed his arms. "That's why they abandoned it," he said. "It's too broken for them to fix. But that's their mistake." Lisa grinned. "Good thing we don't give up so easily." The team had a plan. They weren't just going to fix the ship. They were going to rebuild it, make it better than it ever was. Understanding alien tech. The first step was power. The ship's original energy core was dead. It used an exotic fuel source that humans didn't have. But Jack had an idea. If they couldn't use alien power, they'd use something human-made. They brought in a nuclear reactor, small but powerful. It had been designed for military ships, but with some modifications, it could work here. It took them days to connect it to the ship's systems. When they finally activated it, the ship groaned, metal creaking as lights flickered to life. "Now we're talking," Lisa said, wiping sweat from her forehead. With power restored, Mark had an easier time accessing the ship's computer. He spent hours digging through the alien code, looking for anything useful. Most of it was inefficient, overcomplicated security systems, redundant commands, unnecessary restrictions. "No wonder they abandoned this thing," he muttered. "Even their own people probably had trouble running it." So he did what humans did best. He simplified it. He rewrote code, deleted useless commands, and made the ship's interface faster and easier to use. "Feels like hacking an old, bloated software," he joked. "We're just giving it a proper update." Rebuilding the ship. Next, they worked on the engines. The ship's propulsion system was damaged beyond repair, but the basic structure was still intact. Jack had an idea. Instead of fixing the alien system, why not replace it? They salvaged engines from old military spacecraft, designed for speed and durability. It took weeks of hard work, welding, rewiring, testing. But in the end, they made it fit. When Lisa powered it up, the ship rumbled beneath their feet. The old alien system had struggled to fly. Now, with human-made engines, it was faster and more efficient than ever before. Weapons were next. The alien weapons were advanced, but broken. Instead of repairing them, they installed human-made railguns and missile systems. The original ship had been a failure in battle. Now, it was a war machine. Lisa stood back, admiring their work. "We didn't just fix it," she said. "We improved it." Jack nodded. "This ship was abandoned because they thought it was useless. But we don't waste potential." Mark checked his screen as the ship's systems ran smoothly. "We just turned their trash into our greatest weapon." The first test. It was time to see if their hard work had paid off. Jack took the pilot's seat, gripping the controls. The dashboard, once filled with confusing alien symbols, now displayed clear human-made commands. Lisa and Mark sat beside him, monitoring the systems. "All right," Jack said. "Let's take her for a spin." He pressed the controls, and the ship responded instantly. No lag, no delays. The engines roared as the ship lifted off the ground, smooth and powerful. Lisa whooped. "She flies like a dream." They pushed the ship higher, faster. The alien design had once been sluggish, inefficient, but with human upgrades, it moved like a predator in the sky. Jack grinned. "Now let's see what she can really do." As the ship soared, they all knew one thing. This was only the beginning. The alien ship no longer felt abandoned. Once, it had been a broken, useless wreck, left behind by its own creators. Now, it was alive again. Lights glowed along the walls, screens displayed clear data, and the hum of power filled the air. Jack, Lisa, and Mark stood on the bridge, looking at the controls. The ship responded instantly to their commands, no longer sluggish or unpredictable. Their upgrades had worked. Lisa grinned. "Feels like she's finally waking up." Jack nodded. "But we're not done yet." The ship could fly, But it needed more than that. It needed to be unstoppable. Better, stronger, faster. Jack's team worked day and night. They weren't just fixing the ship anymore. They were improving every system, making it better than its original design. The engines, the alien propulsion system had been weak and unstable. With human modifications, the ship could now reach speeds the original builders never imagined. The new thrusters were made from Earth's best alloys, stronger and more durable. The ship could turn faster, accelerate quicker, and even hover with precision. Lisa tested them by taking the ship for a low-altitude run over the desert. The sand below kicked up in massive clouds as she pushed the engines to their limit. "Smooth," she said, impressed. No lag, no stalling. This baby was meant to fly. The shields. The alien ship had weak energy shields, too slow to recharge, too easy to overload. Jack and Mark studied the technology and found ways to reinforce it. They added Earth's best kinetic barriers, increasing protection against both energy and physical attacks. Jack ran a test by firing an old tank cannon at the ship's hull. The shield flared, absorbed the impact, and reset almost instantly. Mark whistled. That's some real defense now. The weapons. The original alien weapons were powerful, but broken. Instead of repairing them, they installed human-made weapons, railguns, missile launchers, and energy cannons. The ship could now fight like a true war machine. Lisa tested the railguns on an old military target. The high-velocity projectiles hit with incredible force, turning the target into dust. "Now that's firepower," she said with satisfaction. Human adaptability. One of the biggest problems with the original alien ship was how complicated everything was. The controls, the software, the security, it was all slow and inefficient. The aliens had made things too complex for their own good. Mark redesigned the system, replacing the alien interface with a human-friendly one. The ship's main controls now ran through a simple dashboard, clear, responsive, and easy to use. "No more weird symbols," Mark said, tapping the new touchscreen. "Now anyone can fly this thing." Jack agreed. "That's why we're different from them. They gave up when things got too hard. We find solutions." The team had done more than just fix the ship. They had rebuilt it from the ground up, making it faster, stronger, and smarter. This wasn't just an alien ship anymore. It was a human ship. The final test. Jack stood at the pilot's seat. The moment had come. They needed to test everything in real combat. They had set up an old military drone as a moving target. It flew in the distance, simulating an enemy attack. Lisa locked onto it. "Weapons ready." Jack nodded. "Fire." The railgun roared, sending a high-speed projectile straight at the drone. The impact shattered it in midair. Before the debris could hit the ground, Lisa fired a missile, obliterating the remains. The team watched the explosion in silence. Then Lisa let out a laugh. "We built a monster." Jack smiled. "No, we built a legend." As they stood on the bridge, watching their unstoppable warship hover above the desert, they all knew one thing. Humanity had just changed the balance of power in the galaxy. And soon, the universe would know it too. The ship was no longer a forgotten wreck. Once, its creators had abandoned it, calling it worthless. Now, it soared through Earth's skies, faster, stronger, and deadlier than ever before. Jack and his team had turned it into a masterpiece of engineering. Human ingenuity mixed with alien design. But they weren't the only ones watching. Far beyond Earth's orbit, something stirred in the darkness. A massive alien fleet approached, their ships sleek and powerful. They had returned to claim what they had left behind. And they were not expecting resistance. A strange signal. Mark sat in front of the ship's main console, his fingers flying over the touchscreen. A strange signal had appeared, repeating the same alien code over and over. Lisa leaned in. "What does it say?" Mark frowned. "They know we have their ship." Jack, standing nearby, narrowed his eyes. "And Mark hesitated. They're coming to take it back. Silence filled the bridge. They had known this day would come. The aliens had abandoned the ship once, but now that it was working, no, better than before, they suddenly wanted it again. Lisa crossed her arms. Well, they're in for a surprise. Jack nodded. Let's get ready. The arrival. The alien fleet arrived fast. Within hours, their massive ships hovered in Earth's orbit. They sent no warning, no diplomatic message, only a single demand. A deep guttural voice echoed through the ship's speakers. Return the vessel. It is not yours. Jack smirked. Funny. You left it here. The voice continued, emotionless. It was unworthy. But now it is. Change. Lisa laughed. Yeah, we fixed it. A pause. Then the voice grew harsher. You have no right. Surrender the ship or be destroyed. Jack glanced at Lisa and Mark. They all knew the answer. Let's show them what we've built. First strike. The alien fleet moved first. From orbit, they launched energy blasts toward the ship's last known location. But Jack had already lifted off, taking the ship high into the sky. The energy blasts struck empty desert, kicking up massive explosions of sand. Inside the ship, Lisa gripped the weapon's controls. They think we're just sitting ducks. Jack pushed the engines to full power, the ship cutting through the sky like a missile. Let's teach them a lesson. Lisa locked onto the nearest enemy fighter. The railguns hummed, then fired. A single shot tore through the alien craft, sending it spinning into flames. Mark whooped. One down. The aliens hesitated. They had expected an easy victory, not a counterattack. But now, they adjusted. More fighters swooped in, firing rapidly. The ship's shields flared under the impacts, but they held strong. Jack rolled the ship, dodging incoming fire with ease. The old alien controls had been sluggish, but with human upgrades, the ship moved like a predator. Lisa unleashed a barrage of missiles. Explosions filled the sky as more enemy fighters were taken down. This is too easy, she muttered. Then the main warship fired. A massive energy blast streaked toward them, too fast to dodge. The ultimate defense, Mark shouted, shields at max power. The energy blast hit, but instead of breaking through, the improved human shields absorbed the impact, dispersing the energy harmlessly. Jack grinned. Nice try. Lisa smirked. My turn. She activated the ship's main cannon, a new weapon they had installed. A high-powered railgun, upgraded with human modifications, charged up. The alien warship in front of them seemed to hesitate. Lisa fired. The projectile shot forward at impossible speed. It tore through the alien flagship's shields like paper, ripping straight through its hull. A second later, the warship exploded in a brilliant flash of fire. Silence. The remaining alien ships backed away. They had come expecting an easy reclamation. Instead, they had lost their best warship. The deep voice returned, now filled with uncertainty. What have you done? Jack leaned toward the speaker. We made it better. The remaining alien ships hesitated. Then, one by one, they retreated, vanishing into the stars. Lisa exhaled. That's right. Run. Jack sat back in his chair. Now they know. Humanity isn't just some backwater species. Mark grinned. We don't just fix things. We make them unstoppable. As the ship hovered high above the Earth, its human-made systems humming with power, they all knew one thing. This was just the beginning. The universe had been put on notice. The alien fleet had retreated, but the war wasn't over. Jack sat in the captain's chair, watching the radar screen. The enemy ships had vanished into deep space, but they would be back, stronger, angrier, and ready for revenge. Lisa leaned against the console. They ran because they weren't ready for us. But next time, they'll come prepared. Mark nodded. Yeah, and they won't underestimate us again. Jack clenched his fists. Then we hit them first. Lisa and Mark exchanged glances. You mean, take the fight to them? Jack smirked. They think we're just defending ourselves. Let's prove we're more than that. Lisa grinned. I like it. Mark tapped the navigation panel. Then let's find out where they ran to. Tracking the enemy. The alien ship's old system still held valuable data. Mark dug deep into the files, searching for coordinates, fleet positions, anything useful. There, he said, pointing at the screen. Their retreat path leads to a nearby moon base. It's a supply outpost, fuel, weapons, communication relays. If we take it out, we cut off their supply line. Jack nodded. Perfect. Without that base, they'll be weaker. Lisa stretched her fingers. So, when do we start? Jack grinned. Right now. Stealth approach. The ship jumped to faster than light speed, traveling through the void toward the enemy's hidden outpost. Unlike before, they weren't flying blind. They had improved the ship's sensors, allowing them to detect threats before being detected themselves. As they neared the moon base, Lisa studied the readings. 3 warships, 2 defense platforms, and ground forces. Mark whistled. Not bad, but we've seen worse. Jack smirked. We'll take them by surprise. Cut their power first, then strike hard. Lisa nodded. I'll handle the weapons. Mark pulled up the ship's hacking interface. I'll get into their systems and shut them down. Jack pushed the controls forward. Then let's give them a little hello. Sabotage and chaos. The ship slipped into the moon's thin atmosphere, flying low to avoid detection. Mark worked fast, breaking into the enemy's power grid. Give me a few seconds, he muttered, fingers moving across the screen. Lisa watched the warships above, their weapons idle. Better hurry, Mark. I don't want to fight them at full power. Mark grinned. Done. Across the base, lights flickered, then went dark. The warship's engines sputtered, their shields collapsing. Jack saw his chance. Lisa, fire. She pressed the trigger, unleashing a full missile barrage. Explosions ripped through the enemy platforms, sending debris flying. The warships, still confused by the sudden blackout, scrambled to react. Jack took the ship straight into the fight, dodging panicked enemy fire. The first warship tried to raise its shields. Too late. Lisa fired the railgun, punching a hole through its core. It detonated in a fiery blast. Mark whooped. 1 down. The second warship turned to flee, but Lisa locked onto it. Oh no, you don't. A precision railgun shot tore through its engines, sending it crashing to the moon's surface. The third warship, now fully powered, fired back. Energy blasts streaked toward them. Jack rolled the ship, dodging at the last second. That was close. Lisa lined up the main cannon, not close enough for them. She fired. The high-powered projectile ripped through the warship, leaving it a floating wreck in seconds. The message: with the warships destroyed, the base was helpless. Jack hovered above it, opening the ship's communication system. This is humanity speaking, he said, his voice calm but firm. You thought we were weak. You thought we'd just run and hide. But we don't run. We fight. Silence. Then, a broken, panicked voice came through. What do you want? Jack smirked. Tell your leaders, we're not afraid of you, and if you come back to Earth, we'll be waiting. Lisa fired a final missile, blowing up the base's main command center. Then Jack turned the ship away, heading back into deep space. Mark leaned back in his chair. Well, I'd say they got the message. Lisa grinned, loud and clear. Jack looked out at the stars. The war wasn't over. But now, it wasn't just about defending Earth. Humanity was taking the fight to them. And the galaxy was about to learn what that really meant. The battle at the moon base had been a success, but Jack knew it was only the beginning. The alien fleet wouldn't ignore this attack. They would regroup, analyze what happened, and strike back harder. And this time, They wouldn't underestimate humanity. Lisa sat in the pilot's seat, scanning the surrounding space. No sign of pursuit yet, but that won't last long. Mark was busy on the ship's console, trying to intercept enemy communications. His fingers moved fast across the screen. Suddenly, his face went pale. Guys, I think we pissed off the wrong people." Jack frowned. "What do you mean?" Mark turned the screen toward them. "They're sending a dreadnought after us." Lisa's eyes widened. "A dreadnought? As in, a flying fortress of doom?" Mark nodded. "Yeah, heavily armored, loaded with weapons, and protected by an entire fleet." Jack exhaled slowly. "They're bringing out their best." Lisa grinned. "Good. I was getting bored." The chase begins. The ship's sensors lit up. A massive fleet had entered the system. Dozens of warships, led by the dreadnought. It was bigger than anything Jack had ever seen. Its dark hull reflected no light, making it look like a shadow in space. Mark checked the readings. "They're scanning for us. We won't be able to hide for long." Jack didn't hesitate. "Then we don't hide. We outrun them." Lisa gripped the controls. "Hold on tight." The ship roared to life, engines burning at full power. They shot through space, dodging asteroid fields and weaving between planets. The enemy fleet followed, firing relentlessly. Laser blasts streaked past them, missing by inches. The ship's shields flared as a few shots landed. Mark shouted, "Shields at 70%. If they land a direct hit, we're in trouble." Lisa gritted her teeth. "I'll make sure they don't." She rolled the ship hard to the right, narrowly avoiding a massive plasma blast. Then she twisted sharply, cutting between two asteroids. One of the enemy warships wasn't so lucky. It slammed into the space rock and exploded in a bright flash. Jack smirked. One down. 100 more to go. Trapped. For hours, the chase continued. No matter how fast Lisa flew, the dreadnought remained on their tail. It was slower but relentless, always pushing them toward the edge of the system. Mark checked the star maps. Guys, we're running out of space." Lisa glanced at the navigation screen. Ahead of them was a massive gravity well, a dead zone where even light couldn't escape. The black hole. Jack clenched his fists. "They're herding us into a trap." Lisa muttered, "Smart bastards." Behind them, the enemy ships closed in. The dreadnought prepared its main cannon, a weapon capable of wiping them out in one shot. Mark's voice was tense. "If that thing fires, we're done." Jack's mind raced. Running was no longer an option. They had to fight, and they had to do it now. Turning the tables, Jack took a deep breath. "Lisa, bring us to a full stop." Lisa blinked. What?" "Just trust me." Lisa hesitated, then pulled back on the controls. The ship stopped instantly. The enemy fleet wasn't expecting it. They had been chasing at full speed. Now they were too close, moving too fast to react. Jack pointed at the dreadnought. "Lisa, fire everything." Lisa grinned. Gladly. Missiles, railgun shots, and energy blasts erupted from their ship. The sudden attack caught the enemy off guard. A dozen enemy ships were torn apart before they could even fire back. But the dreadnought still stood. Mark shouted, "It's charging its main cannon." Jack narrowed his eyes. Not for long. The kill shot. The dreadnought's massive weapon began to glow, its power building. One shot from that cannon would end everything. Jack spoke quickly. "Lisa, aim the railgun at their weak spot." "Mark, overcharge the shields, just in case." Mark worked fast. Done. Lisa locked onto the dreadnought's reactor core, lining up the shot. The cannon fired. A high-speed projectile shot forward, too fast to dodge. It punched straight through the dreadnought's armor, tearing into its reactor. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the dreadnought exploded. A massive shockwave rocked space, tearing apart nearby ships and sending debris flying. The surviving enemy vessels hesitated. Then, seeing their leader destroyed, they turned and fled. Lisa exhaled. Now that was satisfying. Jack leaned back. One more victory for humanity. Mark grinned, and one less problem to worry about. But Jack knew the war wasn't over. The enemy had lost their dreadnought, but they wouldn't stop. If anything, they'd be back angrier than before. And humanity would be ready. The destruction of the dreadnought sent shockwaves across the alien empire. They had never faced such resistance from what they once considered a primitive species. Humanity had proven them wrong. But Jack knew the war wasn't over. If anything, the aliens would return stronger, more determined than before. And this time, Earth itself was the target. The warning. Mark sat in front of the ship's radar, his face pale. "Jack, we've got a problem." Jack and Lisa moved to the screen. A massive enemy fleet was approaching Earth, hundreds of warships, far more than before. Lisa cursed. "They're done playing around." Jack exhaled. "They want to wipe us out." A message from Earth's military command came through. The general's face appeared on screen, his voice tense. "We see them, but we don't have the firepower to stop them. We need that ship of yours, Jack." Jack nodded. "We'll do everything we can." He turned to Lisa and Mark. "This is it. We either win here or we lose everything." Lisa smirked. "Then let's make history." Preparing for battle, as the alien fleet neared, Earth's forces scrambled into position. Fighter jets, missile batteries, and space stations prepared for the fight of their lives. Jack's ship was their best weapon. Mark worked on the systems, fine-tuning the shields and weapons. "We'll need everything at max power." Lisa ran simulations. "We'll never win in a direct fight. We need to hit them where it hurts." Jack studied the fleet. Then he saw it, the command ship. It was at the center, coordinating everything. If they could take it out, the rest of the fleet would be thrown into chaos. "That's our target," Jack said. Lisa grinned. "Time to make some fireworks." The battle begins. The alien fleet reached Earth's orbit. Energy blasts rained down, striking military bases and defense satellites. Earth's forces fired back, missiles and railgun shots lighting up the sky. Jack's ship shot forward, weaving through enemy fire. Lisa locked onto the first enemy warship and fired. A direct hit, one ship down. Mark hacked into their systems, disrupting enemy targeting. They're confused. Their sensors are going haywire. Jack took the opportunity and pushed the ship forward. The command ship loomed ahead, but the enemy had figured out their plan. A dozen enemy fighters swarmed around them, trying to cut them off. Lisa gritted her teeth. "They're not making this easy." Jack rolled the ship, dodging fire. "Then we make it hard for them." He dove straight toward the command ship, using its own defenses as cover. The enemy fighters hesitated, not wanting to fire on their own leader. Lisa took advantage, blasting two enemy ships out of the sky. Almost there. The command ship's main cannon powered up. One shot could destroy them. Mark shouted, "We need to disable that gun now." Jack nodded. "Lisa, aim for its power core." Lisa lined up the shot. The railgun fired, the projectile tearing through the command ship's hull. Sparks erupted as explosions rippled through the massive vessel. Then silence. The command ship drifted, powerless. Victory. Without their leader, the alien fleet panicked. Earth's forces pushed back, taking advantage of the confusion. One by one, the enemy ships retreated, disappearing into deep space. Jack exhaled. "We did it." Lisa grinned. "Damn right we did." Mark leaned back,